Hello, this is Radhaa from Galactic Goddess Podcast, and I felt inspired to just hop on and just do a little share with you guys about the May energies, Ascension energies, and energy in general as we're moving forward. I've been getting a lot of people reaching out to me and sharing how they're feeling and what's going on. You know, as you can tell, as you can feel, we are going through a major shift, and you can feel it deep in your soul, in your heart, in your mind, in your body. And it really shows up differently for different people, and really depending on where you are and what you were doing in your life. These energies are always coming through 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And so often they are contingent to how you are able to receive them and how much space you have inside of yourself to receive them as a living vessel. So I would love to share with you one of my first experiences that I had with my, I guess you would call it like my first big ascension wave that I had. This was, I'm really bad with dates, you guys, but I remember it was when I first took my, it was my first class in Theta Healing, but I had taken a class. I was already getting into energy healing, and I felt this strong connection with the cosmos like I never felt before, or I wasn't as conscious of it. I had been living in Malibu, and I lived right over the water on PCH, right across from Big Rock. It was a very beautiful place to be, and it was just an epic view to be able to see the ocean every single day and night. And there was a gorgeous deck, and so I would sit on the deck, and I started to notice that there were, well, of course, there's like the airport there, right? But I was starting to notice like other unusual activity. If I couldn't sleep and I'd wake up in the middle of the night and go outside, and I was just very drawn to the stars, and I felt that there was a life of their own, and I did feel I felt a deeper connection that's really hard to put into words. It's as if I had a sacred union with these stars, and the language that they spoke, it really moved me, and I felt like they were dancing for me, like I could see them moving, or it's really hard and weird to explain, and I've never really verbalized it, in this way before, but it's as if they were living beings, and I was one of them. I really started to feel like I was a star being without even knowing what that terminology or anything like that. I just felt like I had this connection with the stars, and it came through. I had some experiences which I haven't really shared, but I feel like, why not? You know what? There's really, we're coming into a time where it's like, you don't have to hide who you are. You don't have to hide your experiences. I am very grounded in this reality, and so to talk about it is really, really weird, because I've had it compartmentalized so much in a certain part of my mind that was like my little treasure box of magic and mysticism that was only for me. But I realized, other people have experiences, and it's important to start uniting with people who have perhaps similar experiences. We really need to come together and have more conversations, and explore, because what is really the conversations that we have now? Like, why not have deeper conversations? Why not explore more depths? And these are all positive things. They're part of who we are. They're part of our galactic family and history. And, we are so much more than just humans living on a planet. We are connected to the cosmos, and what a gift, what an incredible experience it is to be alive. And sometimes it's very strange and it's unnerving, and if you don't really know, at that time I had some pretty cosmic experiences. I would dare say that, I had a huge window in my bedroom, and how can I really describe it except that I have had sort of intergalactic experiences where it sounds so weird to even try to explain, but I don't care. I'm just going to talk, and if you want to keep listening, you can. So basically I had basically light beam come into my bedroom, and I could see what you would consider like a spacecraft come by. It didn't exactly stop at my place, but there were times where, I was going through a pretty big transformation where I was already beginning to deprogram at this point in my life, where I was heavy programmed. Prior to that, I was living in Hollywood, and a lot of that programming was still really embedded in me. And so it was quite a really wonderful experience to be by the ocean, away from all of that. And I really stepped away from who I thought I was and who I thought I should be, and coming into a really deeper desire to tap into who my potential was, beyond what these sort of templates, as I would call them, would be. And the templates in Hollywood, it wasn't fitting for me anymore. I was feeling my soul really just almost wanting to break free, and desiring to connect to something more. And this was such a beautiful experience for me that I really had this journey, and it was very much on my own, very private, and very, it was my own spiritual awakening. People weren't really talking like they are now so candidly about this sort of thing. And so when I had these experiences, it would often be when I was going through maybe a depression or something, where I would have grief like washing over me, and I would experience this light coming in and almost like hitting my heart, and it would actually move me to really cry, and because it was overwhelming experience. Like I don't really know how to describe it, except to say that like sometimes there are things that are so beautiful in life that we have so much capacity inside of our heart to feel that we don't even tap into. We're so used to being numbed out and just being tough and having these walls. And when this light penetrates you, and you can feel almost as if there's expansiveness, space, and your heart is connected to more than just you, but it's a oneness feeling that it is deeply moving and really powerful. And I just remember, crying tears of like almost like longing, because this energy was moving me. It was breaking my heart open. I had, my heart had been very walled for so long, and I just could not access it, and of course this process of my heart really, I would say the very thick wall around my heart from living in Hollywood, and all these experiences was, like armor. And it was a slow process of melting away these shields, and it was beautiful, really, really beautiful. And I really felt like, wow, I know I am connected to so much more than I ever imagined. And, for so long I had felt really so alone, and I had to sort of suppress my deep sensitivity and my parts of myself in order to interact, with people, because most of the time interactions were not sensitive. They were very, much colder and not deeply connected, not deeply soulful or awakened. And so in order to survive that, I had to level up to that, or toughen up to that, or whatever that means. And here I was, having my heart starting to melt away with these galactic beams, as I would call them. And I really got this feeling, an understanding that indeed I was a star being, which I recalled as a child, but really forgot. And I had this feeling of deep abandonment, from feeling so disconnected to that aspect of myself. And so this was the beginning of a transformational process that would really never ever end, because I think being a human, we are decoding ourselves as we go. And not only are we transforming ourselves, but our family, our lineage. And every time we have a breakthrough, every time we have a healing, every time we are melting away more of this gunk, black goo, or whatever you want to call it, it's just we're making more space. And in the inner webbing of our lineage too, we carry all that stuff from our lineage. And so peeling back the layers is a gift not only to yourself but to your whole lineage. And that is so beautiful to me, to think that you can affect so much change in a positive way simply by devotion, devoting yourself to, I would call it really just love, because that's what it is. It's a higher love, and it's not necessarily having anything to do with romance, although that is a very key component, as I would like to talk about in another podcast, about how important love is in this process. Knowing that you're not alone, and that you are deeply, deeply loved, and that in fact, every time you are cleansing and clearing yourself and really making room for expansion and letting go of all the baggage that we collect in life, that you're actually making room for your divine love, and that every effort is so worth it. And so this was the beginning of my ascension process, and it's a beautiful unfolding. And so the story I actually wanted to share with you was one where my mother and I were sitting on the deck. One day we were just talking, and all of a sudden there was a dolphin that was feeding right in front of us, sort of going up and down in the water. And it was really unusual because it was by itself, and usually dolphins go in packs, but this dolphin was going up in the air and going back into the water. It was like I felt very strongly it was weaving. Weaving is the word I would use to describe how I saw the dolphin on this day, and I was crystal clear. We were just drinking water, we were just talking, and it was a beautiful, warm, sunny day, and the water was sparkling and glistening how it does, and the light refractions into our eyes and lighting our soul. And I felt particularly enchanted this day. And soon after, the dolphin was still weaving in the water. There was a whale that came, a beautiful whale that was, I was surprised, it was quite, shallow in the shallow water, and it came like parallel to the dolphin. And this was a memory I'll never forget, because it was deeply moving to see that it was just uncanny how the dolphin was still weaving, and then the whale came to weave behind it. And I get the shivers, because I mean, every time I think about this, I just get the shivers. And my mother and we both started to get this wave of energy that came through our body, an energy wave. And I was like starting to feel kind of funny, like, whoa, kind of feel like, whoa, I don't even know. It was like a giggly, light feeling, and I was giggling, and my mom started giggling, and we started bursting out into full laughter that was almost uncontrollable. At the same time, I felt like my body was, I felt like I was in my body, but starting to almost, how do I describe it? Lightness of being light, as if I was turning into pure light, but still in my body. And I turned to my mother and I said, "Do you feel that?" And she looked at me, and we just started bursting laughing, because it was like dreamy, but more vivid. And here's the thing, the colors, my goodness, it was technicolor, like the colors were brighter. All of a sudden, it's like everything became lighter, became brighter. I felt lighter. I hopped up from my seat, and I had to move. I was like tiptoeing around. I felt so light, and I was just like moving around, like, am I still alive? Like, what is going on? And I had this ecstasy going through my body. And mind you, no, I was not drinking, and no, I was not smoking, and no, I was not taking any drugs, nor prescription drugs. I was 100% sober and totally on a galactic trip. And this is really what I perceived as my first Ascension experience, where I had the absolute understanding that this was a normal state of being, and yet it was also very unusual for the sort of, experience that we had been in prior. So I was delighted, and I have to admit, I was also quite terrified. I was like, am I just about to die at any moment? Because this is quite, I feel too much joy. It can't be real. I'm quite ecstatic. This is, not normal. We're not used to this much joy and ecstasy and at any given time, and for quite a period. And so I was sort of hopping around the house and just like feeling my being, feeling like, am I still in my body? And it was just quite an experience I'll never, ever, ever, ever forget. But this was really what I consider one of the first Ascension waves that came in. And it is possible for anyone at any time to go through one of these waves, but I will tell you, you'll probably experience it if you're more connected to nature, if you're really in alignment with nature and really devoted to your path. And it was just a spontaneous gift that we both experienced that I will never forget in my entire life. And I'm sharing this very personal experience with you because I believe in my heart that people are going to start having more of these experiences. And what it is that more of our, it's almost like we're like 3D, and all of a sudden, like, I got to experience 5D, like a little taste tester. And I realized that our physical vessels are so heavy. And I don't mean weight, I mean heavy energetically compared to the lightness of this. I quite felt like a ballerina at that moment. And so I realized, I really understood, because I had been doing the clearing and the work and stuff like that. And really, that's when I had really devoted my part of my life. Like, this is really what I want. Nothing else really feels like appealing to me. Like, all the things that I was chasing in the past, everything it fell away. It was not important as really moving towards this indescribable light that I had been experienced in this very brief time. But the understanding that it was time to start unloading the heaviness. It was time to release. And it wasn't something about my weight. It was something about the energy that it was carrying, and that everyone carries in our bodies, because we are part of the collective consciousness, which is quite heavy and filled with gooey stuff that we want to lighten up from, because we don't want to carry all that gooiness with us. We cannot carry it, and we cannot embody these sort of experiences if we are carrying all of that. So we will want to devote ourselves. If you want that lightness, if you want that, then you must let go of the heavy. The contrast was so striking to me. And I know what a gift that was, and I know that was a preparation and a deep motivation for me to really excel on this path, and to burn light years of darkness out of my being. And that it was very important. It was very important, no matter how hard or challenging the road may be, to move forward and to never stop moving forward. And that motivation and that excitement of the potentiality that was available really excited me to share the work that I do, and to the point where people were getting annoyed with me. Like, I was talking about energy healing far before everyone was a Reiki healer, and I'm so glad that everyone is getting into this. This makes me happy and joyful, but it was not a trend before. Trust me, there was a time where you would say energy healing, and people would be like, "What are you talking about?" You would talk about frequencies, and they'd look at you like you were crazy. But isn't it funny how all the things that were considered, weird and crazy, are now really coming to the forefront, and in a way that's quite undeniable. You cannot deny where we're going. We are moving, ascending towards this. And in the, I would say, momentous push that we are doing, also darkness is erupting around us, and we are seeing things that we have not seen before. The particles are they're starting to create shape and form, and we can see the difference between it, and we can also embody that which we truly are, and also embracing our darkness. But there's a difference between embracing your darkness and also the evil darkness. There is a difference. Let me tell you that. It is not the same. There is a darkness that is like the black goo, that is ill intent, that is not something that you can really integrate, that in fact is like a glue that you will not be able to take in these new energies. It is a gooey, gluey goo And it's like dark matter that we do not want. We want to release that, let it go, and release all bonds connected to that. Any vows, oaths, and commitments, surrendering it all, because no, you cannot take that goo with you. You must let it go. They're like weights and shackles, and so that is why we are going through this. All the gooey is coming to the surface in our faces, and we can see it more clearly, and so it may look more scary, but it's not more scary than it's ever been. There's so much more potentiality, and so we must really have the long term vision of where we're going. And of course you can go wherever you want to go. I'm only sharing the directional beacon in which my eyes and my heart and my mind are focused, and that is to move forward in this light, and to also help and share that information with others, because we all have a soul blueprint, and each one of us is created so specifically to share various communications of this light in so many different ways, and it shows up differently. It could show up as a very through someone through business who is helping people financially to ascend, or different teachers, different authors, different voices. It doesn't matter. It could come through comedy, the lightness of being. Really, we are all here to share, but it comes through differently, because we're all different channels, and each one of us is finally attuned to our own frequency, which we are here to emanate. Each one of us, if we put ourselves into tune with our divine frequency, we can all become part of the great orchestra of the universe, and we are here to make beautiful music together and not just by ourselves. So yes, share your light, share your magic, share your truth, share your gifts, and do not hide afraid in the dark. Stand tall and proud, and know you're protected and loved, and that you have such a great purpose. If you are listening to this, then this beacon of light is for you, to you, and I send my love to you, because you are worthy of this love, of all that is. You are worthy of stepping into your own love, your own path, your own purpose, and we don't have to be clones of each other. We can all be quite unique and still be totally aligned, and that's the beauty of it. We may all talk a little bit differently, or express a little differently, or teach quite differently, but really, it's the intention behind it. It's the intention behind it, behind everything. And if your intention is to come into this world and contribute and to make it a better place, or to share your gifts, to share your magic, to share your light, and to co-create with those who you share this understanding with, well, then you are on your path. You don't have to be just like anyone else. You came here to be perfectly yourself in your beautiful expression, and I encourage you to take sovereignty of that, and know that in a culture where we're all both simultaneously asked to be the same, and then also encouraged to be individuals, that really you must find your own truth, and only you know the harmony of your soul. Yes, I can help you to uncover that by clearing away beliefs that block it. But only you can play your instrument the way that it's made to be played. Only you can create the sounds that you're made to sing and share and dance and be and stand in your light, because you're not taking away anyone else's light when you stand in your own. In fact, we are meant to be beacons of light, and each one of us is a node, perhaps in different parts of the world. And as we anchor in our own light, we create a new matrix. We become new beacons of living light, creating magic and harmony and beauty. And this is a gift. And so thank you for joining me on this little journey down memory lane, and also I'm here to activate you with my voice and my love, and encouraging you to stand in your truth. At the end of the day, it's important that you share who you are from the depths of your soul. It's important that you clear away anything that is not you, that's in your way, so that you can truly rise to the occasion. You are invited to this magical party called life. Sending you so much love, Radha.